De-reverb, as you'd expect, is designed to remove excessive reverb or ambience already printed in a recording. Here's an overly ambient guitar part, recorded in a very wet room with a mic at some distance from the amp. Let's say we need to match the much drier overall ambience chosen for the mix, so the part needs to be rid of the excess reverb for a closer, in-your-face quality to better blend with other elements in the arrangement. De-reverb can be run initially as an automatic process, and then the results fine-tuned with the various controls. The de-reverb algorithm needs to learn the sonic signature of the reverb. Isotope recommends around a 5-second selection for analysis, including an area of first just room tone and then the main sound, to help de-reverb distinguish between the two. This file doesn't really have an isolated section of just the ambience, so I'll select the entire file and hit the Learn button. De-reverb has now set the values for all the controls based on what it learned. Let's preview it and see how it did on its first try. Well, it's successfully removing most of the reverb, but there's still a little artifact. Let's see if we can clean that up a bit by slightly changing a few settings. Since I heard a little artifact, I'll tweak the artifact smoothing value, though it's already almost at the top. The reduction knob determines how aggressively the module will go about removing the reverb. It's a trade-off between how dry you can make the recording versus the possibility of there being some noticeable artifacts on the main signal itself. This should eliminate reverb sufficiently. The reverb profile is de-reverb's calculation of the tonal character of the reverb. Increasing the tail length value will consistently make de-reverb more aggressive in removing what may be left of the reverb tail at the end of each phrase, which can make the resulting sound a little drier. If I increase one or two of the sliders for a particular frequency range, de-reverb will be more aggressive removing reverb in that frequency range. That's pretty good. Here's another example, a speaking voice with a little too much ambience, like you might get from a location film or video recording or a reporter on site. RX includes tools for removing excessive reverb and ambience. I'll try de-reverb on this as well. RX includes tools for removing excessive reverb and ambience. As you can hear, there's a little artifact on the voice, even after tweaking. RX has a new module that specifically targets the removal of reverb and ambience from Dialog recordings, the aptly named Dialog de-reverb. Since the algorithm in this module is specifically targeted to voice, Dialog in particular, you don't have the wide range of user controls in the general-purpose de-reverb module. All those controls are for matching the process to different types of source signals, but Dialog de-reverb is tuned for one specific type of signal. There's also no learn step. You just set the reduction slider and go. RX includes tools for removing excessive reverb and ambience. There is still a sensitivity control in case you want to apply the process more or less aggressively. RX includes tools for removing excessive reverb and ambience. And there's also an ambience preservation setting. That might seem a little odd in a de-reverb module, but here the ambience being preserved refers to general ambient background sound, not the reverb-type ambience that the module is removing. If the processing seems to take out a little too much from any background sound other than reverb, ambience preservation can be dialed up to restore it. RX includes tools for removing excessive reverb and ambience. RX includes tools for removing excessive reverb and ambience. RX includes tools for removing excessive reverb and ambience. Dialog de-reverb seems to do its best work with the kind of reverb and ambience you'd normally expect to find in Dialog recordings. Short, small room tone rather than big billowy reverb. And it deals with it quickly, without the need to spend as much time optimizing settings as with the general-purpose de-reverb module. A nice improvement in efficiency in appropriate situations. Next, ambience match.